Welcome back. Nationals leader Matt Canavan has demanded the federal government call an election over the controversial tax changes that were announced in this year's budget, saying the government does not have a mandate and the people deserve a say. Joining us this afternoon on The Debrief is Madeline Larson from Triple M in Brisbane and Nick Hayes from Media Stable in Adelaide. Good afternoon to both of you. Nick, do you think this is a good idea? Should the federal government call an election over these issues?
Oh, look, they probably should have gone to the election with these issues before, and we know that. The actual act of actually putting an election straight after, though, because to get them to actually present this to the people would be, it's not right. It's still 2 years away from a federal election, and that's why they've actually positioned these changes now and hope that we'll actually forget about it. But if we were to have a federal election every single time the opposition thought that we needed to take it there, we'd be having one every second week, Tash. So, no, we've got to live by this, and if we're fair dinkum, we'll vote them out the next election.
Yeah, great point, because we know how much an election costs. Interesting also, Maddie, that we both know from previous years and decades before, doesn't matter what side of politics you're from, a lot of politicians break their election promises. So is this any different?
Yeah, I mean, this is just something that we see in the world of politics, isn't it? And I also think that a federal election will cost quite a lot of money. We did see John Howard do this back in 1998 with the GST, however, so that might be why Matt Canavan has gotten this similar idea. But if we also look at recent polling, I don't think this would help the Nationals, as we could potentially see Nationals lose some of their lower house seats to One Nation, given the popularity that that party has been gaining.
Absolutely. Moving on this afternoon, Amazon has given the green light to 3 new AI-generated children's television programs. Now, this initiative would pay filmmakers and digital creators to use AI to help develop the shows in a much shorter time frame than normal. Nick, this breaks my heart. They're saying that, it won't be cutting jobs, but surely if you're able to create this TV show in a much shorter time span, that is going to cost jobs and creativity.
Yeah, they're saying it's not going to cost jobs and it's going to cost less, so they could actually produce more. But have a look at some of those pics that you just saw and presented there. They don't look real. They look ugly. That's no Scooby-Doo there. That's no Popeye. That's scary. I reckon that'd give me nightmares, that. So I don't think it's a great move. There it is. There's the best.
Scooby-Doo. Well,
Scooby-Doo.
Got us thinking also, Scooby-Doo, one of your favourites, Nick, the cartoons. Maddie, for you, there's so many great cartoons of yesteryear.
I mean, yeah, if we're talking about how good TV shows were for kids back in the day, I think the live action of Bananas in Pyjamas has been one of debate, and I believe it's actually being brought back after so many people were upset with the animated version of that. So I don't think you can recreate that or Thomas at the Tank Engine in the same way, but I am really concerned in regards to what this means for jobs in the creative industry. I mean, they're saying it would shave down production from 2 years to 2 months. I'm not too sure how contracts work, but does that mean someone would only be employed for 2 months? They might still have a job, but not as long.
And creativity, so important that we keep it. And finally this afternoon, a harsh notice sparked outrage in Sydney's inner west after a resident parked in a spot that a neighbour had reserved using witches' hats. Now, the note claimed the spot was reserved for an elderly visitor and that there was neighbourhood protocol to follow. This is an interesting debate. Neighbourhoods, neighbours, parking spots, lots of controversy. Nick, where do you stand on this?
There's a Karen. Even that writing, that penmanship looks like it's Karen all over. Look, I don't like this. I don't like it when people think that they can take control or setting standards. The only people that have that right is the council or the government, and they start acting like that. So it's not a good move, and I don't like it. I don't like it when anyone tries to impose that. The letter is the most passive-aggressive act that you can do, and that's the way it's come across.
And can I also suggest, Maddie, we're seeing the witches' hats there, and if there was that park was reserved for an elderly visitor, chat to the neighbours and say, look, we've got a visitor coming over, you okay if we do this? I don't even know where they got the witches' hats from.
Yeah, I think notes and witches' hats are passive-aggressive. Just talk to a neighbour, knock on the door and say hello. If they're not home, leave a note for them to give you a call. I just think that's a lot nicer. I mean, personally, I've had a note left on my car couple of years ago, and it still sits in my memory. Here it is here. Back when I was in Newcastle, had a very squeaky car that I couldn't afford to fix. I love the use of the Great Ideas notepad as well. But this wasn't from a Karen. This was from a group of 20-something-year-old men that lived in the apartment building.
Oh my gosh, and you were doing early shift. You were up at 4:45 in the morning. Nick,
I don't think they like getting up that early.
Yeah, indeed. Have you ever had a note before, Nick?
I've had a note put into my letterbox there, Tash, for about my cats of all things. And again, could have just knocked on the door and said, hey, the cat's misbehaving or getting out. Just do that, because it just sends such the wrong message. We're all human beings. We love a little bit of contact. The letter these days, yeah, most passive aggressive you can be.
Happy Friday to both of you, Maddie and Nick. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tash.
Thanks, Tash.